Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Welcome on in, everybody, to Same But Different. My name is Brody. I'm here with my brother and my co-host Derek, where we review movies every single week. Today, in lieu of a top 5, we are actually going to review Dune Part 2.
Oh man, I'm so excited. I've been wanting to talk about this for so long.
It's just about the world's biggest movie right now.
Nothing has been like this for a very long time.
I would go as far back as Endgame.
Yep, me too. The thing is that there was a lot of anticipation for Endgame leading up to it and also existed after it. I feel like the Dune hype only existed once people saw it.
The Dune hype, bro?
The Dune hype?
Fucking Dune?
Fucking listen all guy, bro.
We're gonna dive into this. I'm very excited to hear what you thought.
Okay, I'm gonna rip through this because all I have to say are good things.
Oh, you liked it?
I loved this movie. It is one of the greatest movies I've ever seen.
The greatest movie of all time.
Okay.
Yep, it is incredible. My first point, a masterpiece. There's very few movies throughout time that you can call masterpieces. I think this one definitely solidifies itself in that category. It's an epic. I looked at the statistics. It's weird. It's like every 20 years we get a movie like this and it just like blows people's minds. They're like, what is this? And it changes the shape and the foundation of filmmaking. In the late 70s, early 80s, we had Star Wars. 20 years later, 25 years later, in the early 2000s, we have Lord of the Rings. And now 20 years later, we have Dune. I think it's really cool that there's kind of like this innate historical record player thing going on where it's just like, here we go again. Honestly, it just delivers. Delivery! It's an amazing sequel. It pays off all the promises that Dune 1 gave us. Because as you know specifically, Brody, Dune 1 wasn't Dune 2. You thought it wasn't good. I still enjoyed my time with it, but it was a slogfest. Definitely like building up characters, building up lore, introducing us to different places, so many different names and languages thrown at us. The Dune book, I've read the Dune book. It was thought to be unadaptable. David Lynch tried, but it's incredibly hard to decipher and translate into a visual format.
I think you'd have to pay me at least $500 to read the Dune book.
It's a sci-fi classic, especially Dune 1, 2, and 3. Anything written by Frank Herbert, yes. Anything written by his son, apparently he just bastardizes his legacy. But
Herb Frankfurt?
Yeah, that guy. Denis Villeneuve took the most important parts of storytelling and character development and put them into this movie and visually brought them to life in the most amazing way possible. The acting was incredible, especially Rebecca Ferguson. Props to you. I loved her in this movie. She was crazy and slightly evil, and you're like, what is happening? Austin Butler did what Austin Butler does. He acted very well. I didn't even see him as Austin Butler half the time. It was just like a really psychotic, weird dude. I think turning Javier Bardem into almost like this comic relief character, I think was a pretty interesting choice, but it worked really well. It was so funny to see that. Cinematography is some of the best I've ever seen. Right off the hop, we have the Harkonnen soldiers like floating up the side of the mountain, the overhead shot of the Harkonnen black and white Colosseum sort of thing, the triangular Colosseum thing. Paul walking with the sandworm behind him. That was really cool. Like, there's so many shots of this that just blew my mind, Brody. You have no idea.
I'm getting the sense.
It's epic in every sense of the word, just epic. This is meticulously, specifically directed. All the details and all the characters are fully fleshed. All the locations are vast and beautiful. I will say, the story of Dune 2, at first you're like, I've seen this before a million times. A Messiah character coming to free some people. Let's all bow down to him. And the character's like, no, I don't want it. It's not me. However, I'm not going to spoil it. The way this one ends throws a very sinister and cynical twist on that story that makes me very excited and worried for whatever comes next. So I really liked seeing that turn. I wanted to see a longer fight between Gurney and Batista's character. I forget his name.
Oh, agreed.
But Gurney is a much better trained fighter than Batista's character ever was. And I'm okay with that. This movie is incredible. I will definitely be buying this on whatever special edition comes out on physical media. I'm going to watch it a million times. And I gave it a perfect 10 out of 10.
Oh my God.
10 out of 10. It is a beautiful movie. I'm glazing it. Like, but it deserves the praise. It really does. Talk to anybody except for you, obviously.
Hold on, let me get comfortable.
I'm
I don't
gonna-
want to talk.
I'm gonna
I don't
hate
want
you
to talk
so
about
much.
it. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about
I'm
it.
gonna hate you. This is gonna be another. This is gonna be another Interstellar situation, isn't it?
This is a very tough movie for me to review. Because at the end of the day, I genuinely dislike this genre of sci-fi, right? Mm-hmm. I have a very hard time immersing myself in science fiction made up worlds. Like, the world building in this movie was very well done. Don't get me wrong. It's just not for me. So just bear that in mind as I go through my review here. This movie was so silly.
No, get out of here. You
It
can't
was-
say that. I think as a blanket statement, then you should say that you think all science fiction is silly.
Let me get to my points.
Okay, go ahead.
About why this one was silly, and I could say that. I mean, Star Wars is silly too. I'm not saying it was bad. I can very much tell that this is a well-made movie who fans of this genre would very much enjoy. I just couldn't get over the silliness.
Silly, silly, silly.
And silly is the best word because I feel like it's not too antagonistic. I'm not saying it was shit. I'm not saying it was stupid. I'm saying it was silly. Let me start with my biggest gripe of the whole movie, and this is just a me problem. This hardly docks points from the movie, but I was so frustrated. How do they get off the sandworms?
Yeah, that was my number one question when I left the theater.
Not answering that is one thing. How? Look, I laughed out loud when it took Paul an entire awesome, cool action scene to get onto this sandworm. Then 10 minutes later it cuts and there's an army on top of it with his mom in a cocoon just chilling. I'm like, how did they get her on it? We saw how hard it was to get on those sandworms.
It's a fair point. I wondered the same thing, but I didn't care.
Oh, it bothered me a lot. Speaking of Rebecca Ferguson's character, I don't remember her name. I just wrote Paul's mom a bunch. Her Benihana voice, what's it called?
Jesuit.
It was like an 80s possession movie tacky.
No, I didn't find that at all.
It didn't scare me. It wasn't booming. It wasn't grasping. It took me out of it, if anything, every time she did it. Because anytime anyone else did it, it was a loud yell or it was a cool moment. But with hers, it was like, and it wasn't scary.
Oh, I thought it was terrifying.
Now's where you're gonna get a little upset with me if you're not already.
I'm already pissed.
Austin Butler, Dave Bautista, Stellan Skarsgård, that whole whatever they are, they're all clowns.
Okay.
They're all ridiculous. They're like comic relief.
They're supposed to be.
You think?
Yes. I think you got the point.
Okay, well, maybe I should have treated that with more levity, but I felt levity when I felt I wasn't supposed to. Further to that point, Austin Butler did a fine job. I don't understand everyone freaking out about his performance.
People are saying like, oh, Heath Ledger. No.
No, people are saying Oscar. No, it wasn't. You slap a bald cap and give weird contacts to any actor and tell them to act psycho, and they could have done that.
There are a couple moments where like he improv'd, licking the knife at one point and then kissing Stellan Skarsgård twice was improv.
And then looking right at the camera.
He spiked the camera?
He looked at the crowd, but it looked like he kissed him and then looked right at us, and it was pretty funny. I also think that Javier Bardem, he did a great job, but I think taking a respected, powerful leader and diminishing him to what he became was not the move.
Interesting.
I think that the black and white insert right in the middle of the film to introduce the main antagonist for the latter half of the movie was forced and lazy.
What? Why? Explain this, because that's one of my favorite parts of this movie.
Maybe shed some light on it then. I don't know why it had to be black and white.
It's funny you said shed some light on this, because that's exactly why they had to do it black and white. The Harkonnen planet has a black sun. What they did is they filmed that scene with infrared cameras.
Did they ever explain that in the movie, that the sun sheds black light?
They mentioned that they had a black sun, yes.
I think the movie should have just opened with that. We should have been waiting to see him again instead of introducing him halfway through.
I can get behind that. That's cool.
I thought the shots of inside the embryo, seeing the fetus, were really cool, but I just didn't get behind the whole sister thing. I didn't understand what was going on with it. I thought it was kind of weird.
What did you not understand?
It just didn't feel very fleshed out. I just didn't know what was going on with it all.
Lady gets pregnant, has a baby inside her, and that's his sister.
I think that Timothée Chalamet and Zendaya have zero on-screen chemistry.
Oof.
I just really couldn't care less about what happened to their relationship.
It was tragedy to its fullest, and I love that.
I think it'll all matter when the third one comes out, but that's what they said when the first one ended, is like, hey, this will all make sense later, don't worry. And I just don't think they can keep holding on to that for me. I don't think this one ended.
Oh my goodness, it ended. So much ended.
Timothée Chalamet impressed me once as an actor.
Only once?
Okay.
I wish I could even tell you what he said, but it was basically when he shouted at his mom on the cliffside at one point. He cut her off with like a booming, awesome. And then later he did some yells and stuff, but they always cliched it with some sound effects and some domes as he yelled and stuff. But that one was just raw power, and it was very impressive.
That moment was crazy good. And then also when he yells at the old lady at the end.
Yeah, but there was a dong, and it took me out of it. That all being said, Derek, I really enjoyed the last 45 minutes of this movie.
Oh, good. You enjoyed the last third.
Yeah, from when I heard one of the best title drops I've ever heard in a movie.
Oh,
to
so
the end,
good, right?
It was so good. All the way to the end, I enjoyed it because it was pure epic. This is a sci-fi epic, and forgive me for not thinking the rest of it was very epic. If you're going to call it a sci-fi epic, you need to hold that weight the whole way through, and for me, only the climax held the weight.
I don't know. That's not true. There are so many downtrodden moments in Lord of the Rings, and it's still considered an epic.
The action in this movie was mind-blowing. I was constantly saying, whoa, jaw down. It was great, but it was too spaced out.
Okay.
And yes, I loved that fight scene at the end and their choice to use no music. I think the cinematography was stunning. The soundtrack was tight. So
But-
there was a lot to like here. I just wish I enjoyed all of it the way I enjoyed the last 45 minutes. It was just too silly of a movie for me to say was a great movie, and I'm giving it a 6 out of 10.
Damn, bro. Absolutely damn, bro. Silly's such a subjective term.
I found it very silly.
Oh, man.
I didn't have a bad time with it. It's not my cup of tea.
I just wish you liked it so much more.
Now I have to watch the third one, and I don't like that. I wanted this one to be more of a finale.
It sucks because I would have been so happy if you gave it a 7.
I have 5.5 or 6 out of 10 on my review. So look at that. And
Son
be
of
happy.
a bitch.
Look, in the interest of not it's already going to be our longest episode, so I'm going to try to wrap this up. That was super fun. I knew it was going to be an interesting episode. I was scared. I was scared to talk to you about it, but I'm glad. I feel better. I feel like there's a weight off my chest. Have you seen Dune 2? Did you like it? Did you like the first one? Tell us what you thought in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe. This is what Same But Different is all about.
This is the backbone of Same But Different, 100%. It's going to be, yeah.
Hey, you know what it's going to be, Derek? It's going to be okay.
It's not. I'm sad.
Love you all. Thank you for watching. Keep watching movies.
I'm so sad.
Dune, 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 dune.